Hey, Rory, can you escape your past? This is the direction that we're going. And y'all know Rory from Rory Mal, right?
From Joe Budden podcast.
There you go. He's received massive backlash after he got exposed for some tweets that were anti-black. And he was also accused of targeting black women in music in those tweets. I guess these have resurfaced. But this isn't just about old tweets. It throws a spotlight more on how white figures that are in the culture, they immerse themselves into the culture, but they're secretly, potentially harboring other feelings. Like we've been through this before where old stuff comes up and people say, you know, I can change, which people can't change. So that's cool. But he's definitely getting dragged for these old tweets. So my question would be, does this exposure change how we should view?
What did he say?
Oh man, it was one about Beyonce. There was one I have a reference link. One about Beyonce.
One about Blue Ivy.
Blue Ivy. Yeah, he had multiple things that he reposted that were pretty crazy work.
We don't got a video. We don't have a video for
I
this.
do not have a vid for this one, but
do
the
we
tweets,
at least have the quotes?
I believe in the link that I referenced. Some of those quotes should be on there. If not,
one of them is I've never.
Mind you, this is what Rory retweeted.
Let me quote this right here.
There you go. Just for clarification. Correct.
Somebody else want to read it? No. He said,
it might not look as good that you're reading for this
That's why I've been silent. I'm gonna sit over here.
I think it's perfect. This will get 250 comments.
No, so he said I'd never. The retweet was I've never saw a good looking black woman. The other one was every black woman has either wanted to, thought about, or actually effed a white guy. White people's facts.
What?
Yeah. See,
that one's just weird.
Thank you. It's extremely weird.
And another one calling Beyonce a hood rat.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, a hood rat name.
Beyonce's a hood rat name. Yes.
That's wild.
So he's getting
these are the ones that he was retweeting.
Yeah.
And there was one, I just remember, this is the one, you know, because when you come for kids, specifically Beyonce and Jay-Z's kids, it says something to the effect of like, you know, did anybody have a brush on set?
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. Look, exactly. Exactly.
I will say this. Sometimes people get a little too comfortable. You know, they think when they're around the culture, specifically black people in the culture, they think they can just get it. Now, mind you, I wouldn't have wanted to retweet any of these things. I wouldn't want this to come up. Say I become actually famous and somebody starts going through my tweets. You know, I wouldn't want any of this on me because I don't think it makes it any better or less egregious that if it was retweeted or just, you know, authored by somebody that was black. I think, you know, whoever wrote the tweets initially is also in the wrong, you know, but I think this is what happens sometimes. We see this on kind of a regular basis where, you know, sometimes people, you know, they think, okay, well, it's okay because, you know, I produce this song or I'm around these people. They know my heart, if you will, you know, and the thing is, it's like, no, when you put things on social media, you're putting out people who don't know you at all. You know, I kind of have a rule that I live by. I can see something that I think is kind of fun, but I never retweet, or at least I try not to, because as soon as I say that, somebody will go back through my social media, anything that has the N-word in it.
Yeah.
The same way I don't say the N-word on the show, the same way I don't say the N-word on stage. You know, I try to be consistent with that, you know, throughout, you know, whatever it is I'm doing. Not curse a lot on stage, you know, but to me, you know, I gotta have something. Y'all gotta let me have something.
Tell chicks to take it in the A.
Hey, wow, that's
damn. Wow.
Why we gotta do that, brother? They don't know the context of that.
Cover your ears, Gobo.
Maybe we'll have to insert that.
Yeah. But I'm just saying,
crazy
there's a certain level of comfortability. You know, I remember there was this DJ who worked with Ghostface Killer at a certain time, and I remember there was this whole thing where like they took him to task for him using the N-word, and he was like, "Well, no, people know me at this, that, and the third," and I was like, "Yeah, but I look at it like this, you know, if you wouldn't say these things in front of black people you don't know, then don't say them at all."
Yep.
You know, I you know, as a black person, I don't say. I could be in a room with just black people. I don't say the N-word in front of black people I don't know. So I don't want anybody to get that comfortable with saying things about black women or black children, and they think, okay, well, no, you got to understand who I am and what I've contributed to the culture. No, it doesn't work like that.
Nah.
And so there's a good chance this isn't who Rory is. But at the same time, since we don't all know Rory personally, and the way he tried to backpedal and talk about this, probably his
that's the problem there.
That was the problem when he got
he
on.
actually didn't backpedal.
What is it? What is it? Spaces, or
it was one of
those platforms that was big during the pandemic that we don't use anymore. And that's what made it even worse. Because I'm like, it's easy to say, you know what, I was wrong for that. I got comfortable, and I apologize. Instead, you were trying to cop please, and that just wasn't the play.
So my question is, does this exposure of Rory, does that make you question the authenticity of white figures who are in the culture who are listed as tastemakers? Does it make you think twice about certain things that are said?
I mean, the issue with what he did is that it's such a blanket statement. It's not like, so when you talk about not even just women, but people in particular, you can question somebody's appearance without being, you know what I'm saying, racist.
Racial,
and what's the other word I'm looking for? Prejudice, maybe. I don't know.
Having those racial undertones
in
in
that
what
type,
you say.
That type stuff. But I think my issue with Rory was when he had the opportunity, and I've actually even said this, that people should get ahead of tweets and things that they've put out online before it comes out to play. Because okay, you can grow. We can grow up, and my whole idea is if somebody doesn't bring it to the table before it's brought to the table, just be like, hey, look, this is what happened at one point in time in my life, and I just want to clear the air on this. This is not who I am. Maybe I was a kid. Maybe I was just on some bullshit thing, but that's not me. When you start the apologetic or the apology tour, to me, it's not sincere anyway. I think my thing with him is, even when he had a chance to make it right, he was standing on business on these particular tweets. And Justin Hunt actually brought up a good point. I watched his bit on this. Rory is part of the
he's a new
Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity.
That's why when I heard Mark Lamont Hill talk about this, he did refer to him as Brother Rory.
Yeah, he is part of,
because Mark Lamont Hill is also a member of Kappa Alpha Psi
he's
fraternity
part of the
Incorporated.
Divine Nine. So he should know better. Somebody that's you know what I'm saying, players of black fraternity, than to take these types of stances. As far as
that's about being a little too comfortable.
Yeah,
like you've been so immersed in what is considered to be black culture that maybe you got a little bit too comfortable and thought it was all good.
Took it for granted.
Yeah, there's certain things that just it doesn't. Man, I'm gonna be 100 with you. It don't sound right when certain black people say shit like that.
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
when you say it, then it really looks silly.
At the end of the day, if you have done something like that, just be accountable. I agree. Like, you got to get out ahead of it, I think. If it's not just being like, oh, I know that I did this in the past, let me delete it, even though there's the way back and whatever, and people can still bring that up.
Yeah.
You at least took the steps to get rid of it because you're like, that was wrong. And then when it comes up, you can be accountable to that. I think if you're going to double down and be defending yourself for stuff that you didn't even write, but you reposted, that's the thing. I feel like, to me, I get how you can become comfortable around and you can slip up in that way, I guess. But it's still if you see that, why would you even think to just repost it? If you're going to harbor that kind of feeling anyways, just laugh in your head. But I guess it's he's kind of just outed himself a little bit.
Let me ask you,
having that internalized racism.
Let me ask you this. How does this, or this incident that we're discussing, make you look at him moving forward? Does anything change? Does anything move around, or is it just a slip up and, we give him grace and keep it moving?
I mean, I'm always for extending people grace. I think the fact that he has chosen to stand on what he's done before is 2 strikes already. So if you even have a third, or if the third is even being handed out to begin with, which I don't necessarily know that I would give out. I mean, you're on thin ice, at the very least.
Let me interject real quick, because in this article that you have in here, it says, and quote from Rory, "This clip may be new to you, but it's actually almost 10 years old," he explained. "All I can do is take ownership of having quoted these words in this way and obviously say that I'm sorry, which I am in fact sorry about this."
Okay.
Well,
so I don't know where this lies in the series of other statements that he has made, but it seems like he has.
Yeah.
To his defense.
I think maybe it's because I'm hearing about that basically now, but I've seen when he was in Spaces trying to stand on business on what he did. So that's why, I'm
that's the part that I haven't seen.
Yeah. So I think we're kind of like piecing this together almost in real time.
Because he was definitely standing on business against,
but but this is, I don't know. I hate to use the word teaching moment because I think that's been overused, but I think this is, in a way, it is a teaching moment. Like you can't, you can be of the culture and not think and not get so immersed in it that you think a certain level of disrespect is going to be understood automatically by people who don't know you. Yeah. Like, there are just things that I know I've said on the show, but like I would say that in front of people, like when I said, what is it about third world whites?
I know people that love that line.
But if even when I say it like in the context of what I've said, I could explain it away, and like I feel like people would be like, "Oh, okay, I get it." That in that context, it is funny. Now there's somebody who might have heard it and said, "Well, why he's got to talk about these the whites from these war-torn countries being good at sports?" Like that's just. There are some people who are just going to be offended, but at the same time, like this is blanketly across the board. The things that he retweeted are offensive. You can't explain, these things away. But once again, Rory is the public figure. We're not holding the person who initially even wrote these things accountable for their, cruelty and perhaps internalized racism, because we don't care about them. Who are they? But Rory retweeted it, and there are people who may not like Rory because of the things he said about Kendrick, and this is kind of what comes with the game, unfortunately. I don't know if I were to dig deep into, because I've had Twitter since it's been a good 10 years, more than that.
Probably more than that.
Yeah, because I remember, shout out to Jay Brookins. He was the one that, you got to get on Twitter.
I was on that in 2009.
Yeah, so it was around that time. Where I'm on Twitter, and I'm at that time I'm just talking to my friends. I feel like, it wasn't this thing to where like someone could pull it up and almost use it as blackmail. We've seen this.
And these tweets and these retweets weren't like they were the RTs. That's how old. That's how old it was. So I mean, he very possibly is a different person now than he was then.
And we've seen this. We talked about this about a month ago. With Tyler, the Creator, with some of the things that he had posted online. I remember at one point Kevin Hart was going to host the Oscars. And, somebody brought up some things that he said 10 years ago when he probably only thought he was talking to his friends. And look, voila, he's not hosting the Oscars because he said some, sort of things that could be considered homophobic. So I don't know. Everyone who's on social media going forward, you never know who you're going to be in 10 years. So you have to think about those things, and you're not just talking to the 20 or so people who you think follow you and think that, you might have a humorous take on whatever the events of the day are. You're going to, you could be, I don't know, you could be Drewski or whoever is really big right now in 10 years, and then they're going to drag you over these things you might have said when you just thought you were being funny to the 20 or so followers you had.
Hey, Long, jump in and put a bow on this one. Have we covered it, or did we miss anything?
I don't even know what the question is. You gonna treat me the same as you treat everybody else, or are you gonna be a little prejudiced over there?
As it relates to the Caucasian tastemakers.
Sure.
Right?
Which is me.
Yeah, you're a good one.
Damn, he's one of the good ones.
Does that sound bad? One of the good ones?
Yeah.
I mean, my man is really good at what he
great.
does. So, yeah, he's great at what he does.
Imagine if I said, Mike's one of the good ones.
Yeah.
5,000 comments. All right, so but I'm asking from a credibility standpoint, man, when you see Rory and all the backlash that he's received, it's kind of like what I opposed to Patrick. Like, how does this make you feel about Rory moving forward? Because you actually said he acknowledged and he said, my bad, but Jay Moore also talked about him staying on business about the same thing. So
Sure.
Where would you be as it relates to him as a whole moving forward? That's what I want to know from you.
I mean, the things that he said was essentially they were anti-black statements.
Right.
So that's for people that are black that are offended by that directly to have that, I can't have those feelings for people.
100%.
But what I will say as a white person, and I've talked about this on the show many times, is, and the sentiment around, there's another white one, there's another white one that's in the culture, or there's another white one that comes out and he said something, and you usually see two things. You either see the white person that jumps out of the fence and just be like, oh yeah, I've done this too. And it's like over the top a little bit. And then you got the people that just try to chill in the cut a little bit. I don't know. I think that in general, like, I come from a conservative background. I've talked about this many times, and I've talked about how my mindset has changed throughout time.
Right.
And so, people grow at different rates. We definitely caught Rory at a very particular time in his life where he was one type of person. It seems, from my perspective, that he's a different person now. Sometimes navigating that from a white person when you are essentially when you're within the culture of hip hop and you are white, you are in the minority, in that sense.
Right.
Meaning that there are more eyes on you. And there are more people watching you and paying attention and picking you apart in a very particular. It's perfectly highlighted by the fact that the statements were anti-black, but we're focusing on what Rory is saying. If the original statements were by black people, it's still anti-black.
That's fair.
It's just what it is. You've got to be accountable. You got to know how to navigate the situations, and you have to know your place. And you have to, I'm different now than I was 5 years ago, than I was 10 years ago, than I was 15, than I was 25 and 20. I've said stuff in the past. I don't think I've said anything racist in the past. I don't think, but like, like we talked about this on the show. Like, I was culturally insensitive at times.
Yeah.
Like you talked about going back and deleting old stuff. There was something that I said on a song 15 years ago or something where I dropped the F word, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, again, this is common knowledge. This is how I talked when I was a kid. It's just what it was. I've edited that. I edited that like 15 years ago. Like after I dropped it, I was like, nah, this ain't right.
Yeah.
And I went back through the release, cut that mug out, and took it out because I was like, this is not representative of me.
This is not who I am.
This is not what I want to put out there.
Yeah.
Accountability is important, but accountability is also tough in general.
Yeah.
And so, I can give Rory a little bit of grace, but I also don't follow Rory, and it's not really my place to give him grace necessarily.
I think that's the point, and we can end it here, but I think that's a point where you made a good point about not really following him enough to be, I guess, that engaged with it. I guess it's more of a to me, it's more of a surface thing because I watched them here and there, but I don't follow.
Yeah, but
that doesn't excuse it though.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't excuse it. But I'm just saying in terms of, I guess, my anger towards it or whatever. Because for me, some of this stuff is like par for the course. We've seen this before from other people.
Sure,
maybe they're not, media personalities, but rappers or whomever. I've seen this before. So
I think it's just it from my perspective, it's frustrating every single time that I see another white person that's similar in the spaces that I am that does something like this. And I'm not going to sit here and say that like, oh, I'm the one. I'm that one.
Yes.
I'm the one. No, that's not what I'm saying. But, because, we all have cultural blind spots. Third world whites is a perfect example of it in multiple ways. The whites, but also the third world part.
Yeah.
That's not something you say.
Right.
Like it's developing country, and so like, it's about learning from it, doing better, but doing him as a public person. He does have, in my opinion, as a white person, you have a little bit more responsibility sometimes to address these things in a way that makes, damn, what do I say? Like I'm the guest house.
You're a guest in the house.
Yeah. It's like,
guest in the house.
I'm not a part, I'm not a part of it, but I'm in the guest house and I'm in there. And even if you're going to stay in the guest house, there's certain rules that you want to do. Like,
you just don't go digging in the refrigerator.
No, you don't go swimming naked in the pool. You
just don't drink out of the juice.
I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm going to tell you
exactly. Have to ask before you swim. No, go ahead, Terry.
Ain't nobody black swimming nude, man.
That's a good point.
The
I
fuck
stand
you talking
corrected.
about?
All right, go ahead. He's right
doesn't
about
happen.
He's 100% right about that. Go ahead.
That doesn't happen. But what happened here in this case, I'm gonna bring a little bit of light to it.
Bring it home now.
So,
I need you to bring it home.
one of them AKAs or Zetas or Sigma Gamma Rhos or what's the other Divine Nine women's fraternity or sorority, I should say.
Yeah.
One of them did him wrong. He had a bad situation dating one of them.
Like a Delta or something.
Yeah, a Delta.
Probably
and,
a Delta.
See,
and
see, watch yourself.
I'm sorry.
I
probably
dated a Delta
just-
for a long
you
time.
can see,
I love the Deltas,
Yeah,
but I can
things
see
went
that.
south, and he decided that he was feeling a certain type of way.
Yep, that's what that
and he
was.
started retweeting these things. And, Beyonce, she didn't go to college, but I'll probably see her as an AKA, possibly. So maybe I'm saying that the AKA is the one that treated him wrong.
Perhaps.
And he feels a certain type of way about that whole ordeal. And that's what spawned these tweets and these cosigns and things of that nature. So it doesn't make it right, but
Just a product of the moment.
Yes, that's
Can't
what
necessarily
that's
judge him by the
whatever,
singular.
Yeah.
So Rory was triggered, right?
Hey,
Is that
man,
what we're doing?
I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying.
Hey,
No, I
man,
feel you.
I could have gotten my feelings and been hard on the AKAs, but you know what?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta put the
gotta
phone
suck it
down.
up.
Very true.
Gotta
How many
suck
times
it
you
up.
just put it in your notes app, even
Yeah.
though it
There
probably
we
didn't
go.
exist back then.
But,
There we go.
but shout out to the lovely ladies of
Yeah, AKAs,
Absolutely.
Deltas.
Alpha
yeah.
Kappa
I don't
Alpha
want
Sorority
I ain't got no
Incorporated.
problems with none of them, but that man did, and that's what led him to those tweets, and that's probably not what happened. It's probably how he really feels.
Yeah.
That's even more shitty. So I'm just saying.
Hey, you stupid.
Well, I think the interesting thing about this too is like it is a very, these conversations are very nuanced,
Yeah.
and it's very easy to typecast, or it's very easy to monolith things and people in general, and that includes white people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that includes everything, even though whiteness is what whiteness is and white supremacy is what it is. But
No,
it is,
for sure.
but from an individual level, it's very easy to target stuff. And I think as a white person that is operating in a culture that is you're the guest, you kind of have to understand this, and you have to learn. And apparently, I think he has. I honestly, like, if I'm going to give him any bail, I'm guessing he probably has. But
Yeah.
I don't know him, so
Yeah,
I
don't
mean,
let people meet you this way, man. I'll just say
At
that.
all.
Yeah.
Don't let this be the way that people meet you.